Hello, this is Stir. I play the role of Shaggy Two Dope in the incredible album Mime Box.
This is Mushy Mustard. I guess I'm Violent J on the album, and I made most of it. So,
Yeah.
So how do you want to just like talk about all the songs in order, or like the order we made them in? Or I guess just start off like okay, first of all, let's just say we're recording this like before the album is released online, so like we don't know what's gonna like. Maybe like no one ever listens to it. Maybe everyone hates it. Maybe ICP sues us and gets taken out immediately. Anyway, we're recording this anyway. Who knows?
One thing I want to say is this is a parody album.
Oh yeah, we don't hate mimes.
No.
We love mimes. In fact, shout out to Ryan Drummond, voice of Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic Adventure. He's a mime, and he followed my Twitter account, which is Clown Music Facts. He's a juggalo, I found out. Shout out to him. I remember when he first followed me, I was like, oh, maybe I should like have a reference to him somewhere. I couldn't figure out a way to make that work though.
Wait, he's a mime, but he's the voice of Sonic? Is he the voice of classic Sonic? Wikipedia says one of his professions is a mime artist. That's cool.
He's not Sonic anymore though. I guess he does the cameos, and people are like, "Oh, say listen to Sonic's voice or whatever." I think, but yeah.
Yeah, I like mimes. This is a true fact. There's been at least one point in my life when I was feeling down and a mime brought me up.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That's not a joke.
Wait, when have you encountered? How many times have you encountered mimes? You've encountered mimes more than two. I've only seen like one mime in my life.
I've encountered mimes more than once.
Okay. You didn't attack them.
No, I don't attack. No, this is we do not condone actual violence against mimes.
Oh, we should say like
this is purely a theatrical statement of this beat down those mimes and all that.
For anyone that doesn't know, the album is based on an Amazon review for Riddlebox, because this is the conception of the album was in 2004. An Amazon.com user named IHateMTV reviewed Riddlebox, and he said, this album has way too much stuff about hating mimes on it. Every song is about how ICP hates mimes, and he listed all these song titles, like the ones we used on the album.
Beat Down Those Mimes. He said Beat Down Those Mimes was one of the best tracks.
All mimes should go back to Mimeville.
He said that was one of the worst tracks.
I think he said Beat Down Those Mimes wasn't a good one, actually.
Oh, no?
But you can read the review. It's on Amazon. You just go to 1-star reviews for Riddlebox.
On Amazon. We'll probably have a link to it on the Bandcamp page too.
Well, the conception of this album was on the 23rd. I don't know the math. On one of the anniversaries of Riddlebox, October 10th, 2022, I posted this review to the Clown Music Facts Twitter account, which is Obscure ICP Facts, and at Clown Music Facts is the handle. Because I was like, oh, this isn't really a fact about ICP, but it's just a really entertaining review. Because I found this review like a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, that's hilarious. And then someone, I think it was the Deck One Delt Twitter account, which is not a podcast I listen to, but I'm aware of them. They replied like, dude, I would kill to listen to a full Riddlebox album, the alternate version all about mimes. And I thought like, dude, what if I made that?
And okay, to be fair, that was a weird echo. We didn't do every single song. We're missing Headless Boogie. We're missing Dead Body Man.
Oh, we're missing 3 rings. We're missing a few in Cemetery Girl. I think that's all of them.
Yeah, but I did a song to the Cemetery Girl beat that was unrelated.
That's a B-side.
Yeah. So really we're only missing 3 songs.
Yeah.
Which is, that's pretty good.
I didn't think we would even be able to do all the songs that he listed in the review.
No.
Because I remember the first thing we wrote was...
if they made a movie about being a mime, everyone would hate it.
Yeah, and I just wrote one verse for that, and like I did a chorus, and then I sent it to you, and you laughed at it, and then you sent me back full lines. You sent me back...
I sent the first thing I did was I wrote 4 lines, and I thought they were so funny. I wrote, go strolling on the internet, check IMDb, lowest ranking all time, know what I see, every single mime film, bottom of the list, but mimes keep making movies, that's why I'm pissed. And I thought it was so funny. I said, we're onto something here. This is a hilarious concept album.
And even when you did that, I was like, there's no way we're going to do all 10 of those songs that the guy listed. Like, we're going to get like this one song done. So I put my verse of the song on YouTube, like the day that, October 10th, the day I just did it quickly. And And then the next thing I wrote was the chorus for the little something something beat, and then I wrote a verse for it, and you sent the verse back, and we kind of just kept going, for months. The full all the verses were pretty much written like within the first couple months, maybe like the first month even. And we were just been busy to record all of it, and yeah, I it's a ton of editing stuff. Like
I did a lot less work than you did, because I all I did was write and record. You did all of the mixing and editing. Which
I found all these. The first thing I did was after I wrote the first verse, I think one of the first things I did was I found a bunch of samples for I Hate Mimes that I used in like the interludes and stuff. Yeah,
just from like YouTube videos with 200 views of people complaining about
mimes. That a lot of the times. I love finding samples for this album. There's so many, and there's a bunch of video. We have an outtakes track, by the way. It's like 15 minutes long.
I was assuming this was going to be after it.
I don't think it's going to be included in the download. Maybe though. We'll see. I guess we'll start in order of the album. I guess now. So the intro of the album, this was added pretty late.
Kind of last second, because I listened to the whole... We had the whole...
No, this is the intro, not the title.
Oh, the intro.
The intro.
Oh, look, you're a mime, you're stuck in a box.
Yeah, that whole thing is sampled from a YouTube video, like, it's like a kid's video of, like, some clown doing, like, a mime act, and, like, it's just a video this guy made and, like, narrated himself. It's called, it's by, what's his name? Magical Maddie, yeah. It's called 51 Funny Clown Jokes, Mime in a Box, Amazing Disappearing Silk Magic Trick. And, this was... Because throughout the album, even though, like... This was like in February when the album was pretty much finished, which had like re-recorded some stuff and finished mixing it and stuff. We're still we're still not even. It's like March 26th, but it's not technically done yet. I still got to edit some stuff, but whatever. Originally it was just gonna be the title track. There was gonna be like a little bit of like the noise from the Mimeville Box intro, and then it just goes into the title track, which was different, by the way. But I just found this, and I was like, this would be a good intro. And originally I made it exclusively for the outtakes track. Because I was like, we're probably not going to use that. It's like a minute and a half long or something.
Yeah, it's a minute and a half of a stolen sample.
Yeah, but ICP's just taken a minute long, like on Mud, Water, Air, and Blood, I doubt they got permission for those spoken word samples. And we're still in the whole album anyway. But I just really like the tone of this. Like, when you put the sinister, like, riddle box soundscape behind this dialogue.
When you told me it was YouTube, like a kid's video, I was like, what are you talking about? This is about a mime getting squished in a box.
Yeah. I think it worked so well for like a sinister, like, teasing a mime for like dying in a box or whatever. And it's just from like a kid's YouTube channel that's like not meant to be that at all. And then I was like, I was considering cutting it down like 20 seconds. And do I really want this whole thing on it? So I was there. And I'm really happy how that turned out. The only thing that's not from the video, it's not music, is like, the laughing at the beginning is from the I'm the Joker Baby video, my Joker performance. That's like a meme video. And then Mime Box is like from, the guy saying Mime Box is from a podcast.
You don't have to list every sample.
I won't, but I'm going to list a few of them. So next, Mime Box, the title track. Track 2. So
this is the one that you changed this last minute because the album
I edited the song like yesterday.
The album was basically done. We had a different version of this intro.
Well, because what happened was when we started the album, not every song from Riddlebox had instrumentals available online, but then like a couple months ago, a YouTuber named Clownstrumentals just used like AI to like make all of them. Yeah. And they don't sound perfect, but it's fine. It's good enough for me. It's good enough for Mime Box, Mime album. So I just made my own instrumental. I sampled the, this is in the outtakes, I sampled the Riddlebox show intro and had Legs Diamond saying, they cannot escape, and I just looped that. And I had the same like laughing and Mime Box and Stupid Mime Invisible Box samples, but I made my own beat. And
it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was fitting. I think having my own instrumental for the title track, like, that's fine, because it's like, this is in Riddlebox, this is Mime Box, so it's like different.
Yeah, but then I listened to the whole.
And there's no verses. It was just the intro.
Yeah, there's no singing.
You're stuck in a box, and then the outro. Surely someone's on mime. Like there was no like the chorus or the verses or anything.
Yeah. Then I listened to the whole album one day, and I said, I don't think I like that title track. I don't think it's high energy enough. So then we both like immediately wrote our verses.
Yeah, I quickly like wrote like, tell me Mime, what can you do once you put your hand into the Mime box, this is for you. And
Which is really easy stuff to write.
Yeah, and I really quickly did my... This is like the most based on the original song on the album, I think. It was just like, oh, hello, wicked cloud, I'm valid. It's like the exact same thing.
It's so funny when you just say, I'm Valid J, and I don't like mimes.
So we quickly did that. I was pretty happy with how that turned out. I like it. I like the chorus a lot. Samples are fun. Stupid Mime in an Invisible Box is a sample.
What is why I say what's up sucker because we don't swear on this album?
Yeah, we're not potty mouths.
No. We're not sailor mouths.
No.
No, I was going to do some swear on this album. It doesn't sound right. Like I can't swear and make it sound convincing. I sound like a 10-year-old trying to swear.
Yeah. So yeah, that was that's that song.
It's because
Yeah, could you said cause because it rhymes with the cost, kind of. It sounds similar.
well, when I first heard Riddlebox, until I like read lyrics, I thought it was the cause was your ass. I didn't know it was the cost, and until
Yeah, I did too. I think.
I don't think I knew it was cost until I heard the Joker's Gallery, original outtake, where it's more clear what he says.
You got your tickets. Yeah. Then I'm watching Little Mime as a sample, which leads into the laughing in the intro, and then we have Shaggy, the actual Shaggy, and I sentence mixed him saying, "Wicked clowns, man, f off mimes." I don't know if that's clear, but if you listen to the original, you cannot tell what he's saying there anyway.
No, it's just
the word mimes is backwards from him saying tonight's main attraction from the skit before All Evil Eye, where he says tonight's main aims. I think that's where that's from. From tonight's, the S in tonight's and the May from Maine.
Wow, I never.
So it sounded kind of like Imes when I reversed it, and I think it sounds normal to me. I don't know. Like you can't. I would imagine people hear that and go like, how did he do that? Maybe not though. Maybe I'm going to talk very highly of myself this whole time because I'm very proud of it. Even though it's a stupid project, this whole thing, like this took up, I've been working on this for like 6 months.
This is by far the most significant project we've ever done.
Yeah.
Either of us, like separately.
Yeah, it's Mime Box. My verse, I was very unhappy with. I Hate Mimes.
This is the worst track on the album.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this is the worst song of the album. Which sucks because it's the opening track.
Well, but that's I feel the way about Riddlebox too.
Do you?
I don't think so much go on. The words like verse 3 is dumb.
Went to school and tried to murder everyone. The show, yeah, I guess. But the song is saved by a few things for me. Like my whole second half of my verse, I rewrote twice because I had like originally it was talking about burning Mime's house down, and then like way later I was like we'll get to this later, but I wanted the Mime death toll like in canon of the album to be really low because we're just pathetic at killing mimes is how I interpret it,
Yeah.
which is why like the ending of 12 Mimes went as it is. So I changed that to something closer to the original song, talking about the albums. Oh, I said we got 2 albums out and we say I Hate Mimes 20 times because in the original review the guy says, oh, when all 20 of your songs are about hating mimes, they're just kind of tiring. So I was like, oh yeah, those are 20 previous songs from our 2 previous Juggalos cards. And also I had like
well, yeah, because we weren't planning on having 12 tracks on this. We thought we were going to have maybe 9.
Yeah. We certainly weren't going to do 20. I don't think I ever thought I was going to have 20 songs about mimes. And then I had like the mowing the lawn. There's a mime one time. I mowed lawns as a kid, and then a mime did the same and didn't even do anything, but still got paid.
Oh yeah, that's in the outtakes.
Yeah, and that was going to be after the. That was in the rewrite, and I rewrote it again to I See a Hole That I Hate. I would do jumping jacks on top of thumbtacks. That was kind of inspired by Fuckface Wheel Killers doing backflips on the train tracks. That was somewhat inspired by that. Because I was just thinking, what's something horrorcore that'd be in a track, in like a first track? And I thought like, see me crab walking across quicksand from ICP's one of the new songs in that line. I was like, I I guess a really clowny thing to do is just doing something silly in a dangerous situation, you know. So that's why I have that line. Also, Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Hiney Ho. That's Pee-wee's Playhouse reference.
It's incredible how sometimes you just like, you decide to write a song and you're like, okay, how can I include this phrase in here? Because you do that for a few verses. You're just like, how can I include, you like, I have no idea what this verse is going to be, but I want to include this phrase in it, and then the rest just writes itself.
Yeah.
Like, you just wanted to say Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Hiney Ho.
Well, yeah, because it's like, you know, hocus pocus, abracadabra. Like ICP always do that.
Yeah, and we like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that'd be so perfect because Riddlebox, they sampled Toybox on Toybox, they sampled Pee-wee's Playhouse. So I thought that was perfect.
The John B. a Genie, that's what he says.
The next line's stupid. If you don't know now, this time you know. Like,
What?
such
No,
a lazy,
I love that line.
it's a lazy line.
No, it's not. Like, I think the writing on this album is incredible. I know what Jay's talking about, where he's like, wow, the Dirt Carnival just writes this stuff for me because I couldn't do this.
There's like one or two verses that I think suck, but other than that, I'm pretty happy with it. That interlude is a sample, and then like, I auto-tuned the first interlude, which is from a video called I Hate Mimes, which is some guy like reading a poem he wrote about hating mimes, I guess. And I auto-tuned it to the tune of Show Must Go On.
Which sounds great, by the way.
And the first time I was like, this is so stupid sounding, but it really grew on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the other.
Yeah, I don't know how. Again, we have no idea how people are going to react to this album.
Yeah.
When you posted it,
I posted the we have a sampler which is based on the original Chicken Hunter sampler.
You posted the sampler on Reddit, and it had, I think, 4 comments, and all of them said this is trash.
Yeah, like, what is this garbage? So I'm glad I have Juggalo friends on Discord who like are telling me it's cool and like it genuinely. It's like, that's nice.
I think it is. This album is incredible.
I listened to it front to back like several times. I enjoy listening.
I have to listen to it front to back in the car. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know how well it's gonna be mixed, but you know, whatever. We have crappy mics and crappy earbuds to mix it with.
Oh, I don't have an aux port in mine. Or aux port.
That's fine.
I'll have to do it.
Your verse, the first line was originally, my name's too dope and I got 2 pockets. And I messaged you like, hey, what did you say? My name's too dope because I have 2 pockets. Wouldn't that be funny?
Yeah.
And you said, yeah, so we changed it to that. I remember you told me, I remember we first, this was like the 3rd song we wrote, I think, and you said, the only line I can think of for the song is, if I see a mime at my door, I'm a lock it.
Yeah.
So I think that was the first line you wrote for that. I really like the diary line. Originally it says I hate mimes like 8,236 times or something, but that was changed. I wrote it on every page 17 times. And at first I didn't like that change, but I like it more now though.
Yeah, no, I like kind of reluctantly changed it because I like the flow of the 8,000 better. I think it fits with Show Must Go On.
It fits with the way the instrumental drops out too.
Yeah.
I remember I originally had a line that was like, I count dead mimes when I want to fall asleep, and then and I count dead mimes every time I take a walk. All dead mimes get sent to Mime Box, or something. But I took that out.
Yeah, I never heard that.
I never recorded it. It was just in my. I have like a. If you download the album on Bandcamp, which is free by the way, I'm not getting paid for any of this because it's probably not legal. I included a PDF of handwritten lyrics, like which my original notes and stuff. Just a few of the songs. Most stuff I just wrote on my computer. And that was one of them. I think it was like and I thought it undermined your line. They pretend to be trapped in a box. I don't know.
Have you ever seen Saw? I like how one of the things that, because this didn't come up until like later, but more than I think a lot of stuff, I just say, oh yeah, mimes suck. Not funny, you know. Which I don't think. Oh, I love mimes in real life. Out of character, not shaggy too dope. The mime hating clown, just me, Stir, producer of this album. I love mimes. I think they're funny. I think they're charming.
Verse 3.
Some of these songs were hard to write because it's like, man, I'm saying all this mean stuff about.
I like
mimes.
Google like what do mimes even do? I don't encounter mimes in my life. I don't know what to say.
Well, because I think it's funny that this album takes place in a world where mimes are a nuisance. There's so many mimes everywhere. Yeah. And I forget rid of mimes, kind of like Bang Bong Boom like idea where it's, oh yeah, there's all these terrible people, all of them are mimes.
I think another way that I've interpreted it sometimes too is that we're just delusional and like mimes aren't an issue, but for some reason, like, we think they are.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, I call up mimes.
Clowning.
I call up mimes to the Toy Box song. Call up some clowns to help us, and like no one responds. Because why would like clowns don't actually hate mimes? It's not a thing. Is how one way I interpreted that. I think it can be interpreted a lot of ways. You know.
I also think the skit at the end of the song is incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, but first I want to say like the bridge samples to ICP. Well, actually samples like ICP on G4, like doing a freestyle, which isn't actually a freestyle. It's from
What? I thought that was from Dark Lotus.
Yeah, that's from Dark Lotus, but he said it was a freestyle on G4, and I used that one because I had less instrumental in the background, so it's easier to sample. And then verse 3 was all written by you. I think that was the only thing that you wrote that I said. Because I go through a bunch of stuff for you. But I think verse 3, we said that together. The mime was.
I wouldn't say a bunch of stuff. You probably wrote like 3 verses for 3 different songs for me.
Yeah. No, not a bunch of stuff. You when we could, you wrote more stuff.
Yeah, generally I wrote everything I said.
Yeah.
Except for probably 3 verses.
Yeah, and yeah, that skit at the end of the song. I love that sketch.
Where you get a phone call and no one answers, and you're like, stupid mimes.
Yeah, it's so funny. In the background I like the song in the background. I don't know if you can like tell what it is, but it's like there's a song. It's a parody of "I Saw the Sign" by Ace of Base. But it's about like a mime, and it's like I saw the mime. It was like I hate the mime. It's like a whole song on YouTube. You look it up. It's called "I Date the Mime." I think is the name of the song. But verse 3 is about how she hates the mime because it cheated on her and stuff. So I just sampled that part. You stupid mime! I hate the mime, and that's playing in the background. And I really like that.
Yeah, that's the best bit on the album.
It's great. Beat Down Those Mimes. This was on the sampler.
Oh yeah! As soon as I wrote the pre-chorus to this, "Mimes Suck, Everyone Knows," I was like, "Oh, we're totally." That's where I was like, "This album is going to be something great. We're going to do a whole album of this, and it's going to be incredible." Was
this like the third? It was like the third or fourth song we did. Right?
Yeah, I think this is probably the third.
Fairly early one. No, I wrote my verse. Oh, every single song I wrote my verse first, and then I wrote my verse something else because I definitely took on the more passive role of Shaggy 2 Dope during this album. Yeah, before we did most of the album, like I had like a skeleton in the album. Okay, this title is gonna be this song because that kind of fits, and I have like 1 or 2 ideas for that. Mine is like I think War on Mimes might have been Dead Body Man. I was considering that, and then like Attack the Mimes might have been something else. You know, we're figuring out a little, but most of the songs we had like I don't even though I have no verses yet, I want this song to be with this beat and this song with this beat.
Yeah, and they fit really well.
Yeah.
Just having a review that had 10 song titles really helped with getting the creative juices flowing.
Yeah, despite so many of the titles being similar, I think we did a good job of like having distinct ideas in each song. So my verse, the first line was from a song I previously wrote for Rough Sects, rap group that will probably happen eventually. It's just a joke rap group. I was really happy with this verse because generally we try to, like originally at least, we're going to, okay, I'll do Jay's verses and you do Shaggy's verses, but I was like, I want to write verse 2 for this. But I'm still Jay, I think, in character. Although I intentionally didn't say, like, I'm trying Jay and Aiden or thing. I wanted to say, I wanted to include the phrase I hate mimes as much as I could on the album. Yeah.
And then all we can do is rhyme it with time.
We rhymed mine with time way too much. It's fine though. I'm a sick cat. I really like this. I think it's one of the best verses. Because at first I was not happy with the song because it's just generic, like mime beating. Like we have much more unique ideas later, but it's such high energy.
Oh yeah. Beat Down Those Mimes is incredible.
Especially my verse. I think the rhyming is really good on there. There's a lot of like.
I don't even remember what my verse is.
Your verse isn't great. I ghost wrote a verse for you, and you're like, oh wait, no, I'm writing verses. Oh okay, which is like ghost written verses in the outtakes. And I remember I sent you the outtakes and a lot of these are better than the originals. It's like, whatever. Or the ones we went with, I mean. But no, I like your verse.
You said it kind of sucks.
It reminds me too much of I Hate Mimes, I think. Just,
well, that's why I Hate Mimes is so weird. What's my verse even?
Beat down, we don't have maps, beat any time or place. Zero miles from miles that we have attack. Cockroaches, what kind of mime you can trust? I want to kind of mime you can trust, that's the dead one. That was in my ghost written verse, but that's because you said, I want to include the line, one kind of mime you can trust, that's the dead one.
And that's from A Gringo Like Me, that song.
Yeah.
One kind of man that you can trust, that's a dead man.
Yeah, it's from that song. And then yeah. I remember I sent the sample out and people were like, dude, it's so funny that you say all that he said was and then have a big silence.
Yeah, and people always love the silence jokes on this album, but we only do it like 3 times.
Maybe because I did a similar thing for a rough sex song, so I didn't think it was super.
No,
clever,
I don't think it's super. It's not clever. That's the obvious.
It is funny.
It is funny.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that song. I think unless it was a. I like the samples on the song a lot. Oh, this is one where I sampled. I told my dad about this album, and he said, "Oh, there was a." That I was like, "Oh, I'm starting to make an album about clowns who hate mimes." He said, "Oh, there was a movie back in the day where Robin Williams played a mime, and part of the plot was that like, the clowns hate the mimes." I forget what that movie's called, but look up Robin Williams mime and like maybe sample that on the album. I told him I was like, "Oh, do you know anything I could sample for this maybe?" So I sampled that in the interlude or whatever, and I also sampled like a podcast with a woman saying mimes can be made fun of, yelled at, punched, kicked, and is totally acceptable. And I felt kind of bad putting that because I was twisting her words so much because she was not saying that that's okay. So I just let me know the woman who is saying that does not agree with that message, and neither do I. I thought that was funny. So many,
no permission for just taking samples.
Yeah. Classic.
This album means them. They're so funny.
I vote I don't like mimes, they don't like me, so we beat them down in the ICP. I had all those 2 lines.
You did?
Yeah, but the other 2 lines in verse 3 that you say you vote. I really like M-I-M-E-s, my enemies. Mimes suck balls is a stupid line, but whatever.
Yeah.
Rhymes. Next, am I evil for hating mimes?
So the original title of this track is "Am I a Nazi for Hating Mimes?" But we didn't want to use that title.
I was not comfortable using that title. I remember when we first did the title, when we first started the album, I was like, okay, "Am I a Nazi for Hating Mimes?" That's going to be the interview skit, because I don't want to write a whole song about whether or not I'm a Nazi. I was not comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, let's just change it to "Am I Evil?" Because I don't want any... This is like a fun joke album,
Yeah.
And even as a joke, I didn't want any similarities drawn between us and Nazis. I just wasn't comfortable with that. So that's why that was changed, if anyone was curious.
We also changed the title of All Mimes Should Go Back to Mimeville, which Mimeville was spelled Mimeville.
Oh yeah, my canon for the changes is that the guy who wrote the review just didn't spell them right and got some of the titles wrong, Yeah, but this skit is... Your contribution to the skit is genius. Because I had no idea. I was like, okay, I guess we'll have like the interview, and he's like, "Oh, you're like, is that evil?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm evil for hating mimes." No, I mean, and then it leads him to the war on mimes. That's all I had. And then you texted me. I don't think I even told you about the skit idea, but you just texted me like, "I have an idea. This will be the stupidest joke on the album. But what if it's like, oh, you guys like Faygo, huh?" And we're like, yeah, every flavor except lime, except that twist flavor, it's lime. And he's like, oh, why? Well, we hate limes because they sound too much like mime. I don't want anyone to hear me say I like limes and think I'm saying I like mimes. And I laughed. That was so funny to me. So you vote the majority of the skit, because all the stuff that I wrote was just like kind of fitting it to the title and also leading it to the next song.
Yeah.
Like the actual funny part of the sketch was...
Which I don't think it's funny at all. I think it is the worst joke on the album.
You don't like it?
We don't like limes because it sounds too much
Dude,
like
that's just so funny. It's hilarious.
It's too dumb. It goes too far.
It's like a minute.
But I vote that I had to take... I was probably driving when I thought of it. And I had to text you as soon as I got home.
Yeah. And originally I thought Batter was going to be the interviewee, but we recorded it and we didn't like how it sounded, so we didn't use it.
Yeah, because in the original is Jay's voice slowed down anyway.
Yeah, and that's you doing the instrumental thing. Because I remember when you recorded that, I did not think we were going to use it. But then I was like, oh, it actually sounds pretty good slowed down. And then we recorded Batter's parts, and Batter too was like, I don't like how that sounds. But yeah, we've been fighting the war on mimes for decades. So that takes us to the war on mimes.
This is the song I didn't write any of.
Oh, yeah, this was all... I wrote all of your lines. And because it's back and forth, it would be hard to write. This was one of the last songs we did.
Yeah, maybe the last.
Yeah, the last except like the new intro we recorded and stuff. Because it was difficult, you know. By the time you write 8 songs about mimes, it's hard to do a 9th one.
Yeah.
And I had a bunch of ideas. I was like, okay, like what?
I had some. Yeah, we thought this was going to have the most slapstick in it, where like mimes do mime stuff and we do clown stuff.
Yeah, the one thing you came up with was you didn't write the lines, but you could said, okay, what if someone like pulls out a fan and then tries to blow a mime away, and then he thinks he's successful, but the mime was just miming, the fan wasn't actually on. That was like an idea that you texted me that idea.
Yeah, and I had ideas. I had some other ideas.
You didn't tell me that, which you did.
No, I told you like 3 ideas I had for that.
Oh yeah, like the after the mime with an invisible bat, you said, oh yeah, what if then the mime pulls out a bat and it looks really heavy. He's like miming really well that it's really heavy, and then the clown gets scared. It's like, oh, I don't want to mess with that giant bat. That was an idea you had, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
See, I don't remember my idea. You have your notes out, I don't. Because you have the whole album.
I have a big giant PDF of like all the verses. Oh, I'm sorry I don't speak mime. I just want to point out that is a sample, because that would be so easy not to sample, but I like using samples whenever I can, you know. Some video called like Clowns vs. Mimes, episode 72. It's Siri. That's one of the only things I think takes it out of the 1995 plausible release date, but I mean, it could just be a coincidence. It sounds very much like Siri. And I was like, I don't know, I wanted to use it. I was like, oh, it's perfect before the toy box thing, because it replaces the phone.
Yeah.
You know, it's also a phone thing. And that intro is also a sample from like a comedian, Lipper the Clown. He does the interludes too, it's sampled. The second verse is like all a bunch of just ideas I came up with. Like, I was like, oh, okay, let's see, like the invisible tie balloon. Like, we were just saying slapstick stuff, you know? And so the second verse is all where like all that stuff went. And about that.
Yeah, your first verse I thought was really good on this one.
Yeah, but then the first verse I wrote way later, and I was having trouble, and then I just thought, okay, what if I reference the song Misc by Dream and say, but the fact is we need help putting mimes in caskets, and then the whole verse just stemmed from that, like easy, like suddenly I wrote that line, and then the rest just came easily, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just all building each other. I like the skit in the middle of that, which is, I do both the voices on that. One of them's supposed to be you, but it's not actually.
Yeah, because I recorded it, it didn't sound good.
Actually, I never actually tried putting it in, I don't think. But
I listened to it, it didn't sound good.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone will know it's not you.
No, there are parts where I can't tell our voices apart.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a really good verse about getting help from clowns. And the original idea for the song, and if you look I posted like an ad for this album, like, back in October on Reddit, and if you look on that, like it says like featuring someone else, because originally we were gonna have like 3 different features on the song, but none of them had time. And then minus Eric from Fuckface and ICP with We podcast, he sent me like a full verse. I thought I was only like a bunch of half verses. He sent a whole verse. I was like, oh, this is great. Okay, I'll choose that. By the way, that is his band is FUKKFAACE.bandcamp.com. Buy his 2 albums, they're good. His verse
Blew us out of the park with his rapping skills.
a good thing that he sent this like a couple weeks ago. Good thing that he not sent it at the beginning of the album, because I would have heard that and be like, what am I doing making an album when this guy is like 10 times better than me?
Yeah.
Well,
when I heard that, I was like, man, should we just have this guy sing the album instead?
He's like, his verse is so good.
I think our writing's better.
Yeah,
because we have so many good ideas on this album. He just has, his one line, so...
Well, I'm sure if he tried to write a whole
album... Well, yeah, obviously, but that's where I was like, you know what, we have incredible writing on this album, so you can't take that away.
His rapping is like better than ICP is in the original song, too. Like, I love his verse gets stuck in my head. It's so incredible.
Sure, man. You come good, yeah.
And I like that he happened to have some stuff that we didn't mention. Like, we didn't mention clowns having striped shirts at all over the album.
You mean mimes?
Yeah, mimes, I mean.
Yeah, I like that he said they look like a hamburger. It was really funny.
Yeah. So, I'll put a silence on my gash for the sake of irony, and then shoot, like, that's funny. We'll toss you in an empty pool and laugh while you pretend to draw, hold you down and cover your face into a wicked clown. Like, that's so awesome, dude. Yeah, good job. X minus X. I think it's just pronounced minus. Love that guy.
X minus X is pronounced minus. That's a good name.
You have to say the full thing every time.
Well, no, it's like old email, so you just put X at the beginning.
Well, it's actually a straight edge. I don't fucking explain what it is. Oh, I just want to say, like, I like my line when I like shoot a mime, but it's just like a fake clown toy gun. That was I had that idea. I had a really hard time putting it into rhyme, but I think I did okay with it.
My rapping on this song is low energy, but you mixed it well enough.
Yeah, okay. I've recorded almost the entirety of this album. I recorded in a car on Christmas.
Car seat headrest.
On Christmas morning at like 1 a.m.
Shout out to Car Seat Headrest who gave us that idea.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I guess you're right. Recorded in a car. And because of that, my vocals kind of sounded like crap. It was so much like bass that was like sounded really muddy. So I had to do a bunch of equalization editing on like all my vocals to try to make them match how yours sounded more. And I think I did decent.
I did some verses in the car.
I think them sounding a bit different kind of helps differentiate our voices though.
Yeah.
So I think that helped a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, shout out to Linus. That was such a great voice.
Yeah.
And he did the chorus. He recorded chorus too. I was like, it sounds so much better than the chorus we had too. Because I was like, oh, when you record your verse, did you record you singing "I Hate Mimes" to the Pee Wee's Playhouse sample tune?
War Mimes.
And he was like, yeah, well, what did I say?
I Hate Mimes.
I'm gonna mix up my words so much when I'm talking about this. So just if I say something, don't take it at face value. Assume I might be misspeaking. He did like highs and lows. He did like 3 different takes of that chord and like sampled it later on top of each other. And it sounds so good. He has a professional mic and everything. Like,
well, yeah, because we can barely even say War and Mimes.
Yeah. And I like that sample at the end. The you know the little French clowns that kind of do that stuff on the side of the road?
I was listening to this, like you sent me the full recording of the song and I listened back to that. I was just laughing out loud at that sample.
What if they see a dog pissing and they're just gonna like whip it out and take a piss? No one wants to see that. That's from some video called like Mime Suck or something, I don't know. But it was just like that logic makes no sense to me. I just thought it was funny, you know?
Yeah.
And the sample at the end, there's a skit. The difference between clown and mime. Whatever. I did that before I did that a long time ago. That was one of the first things I did for the album, was that skit at the end.
Yeah.
Clowns vs. Mimes, the ultimate battle. This song...
I'm not even in this song.
Well, you know you are.
Oh yeah, I'm the announcer.
This is another one I wrote completely. I had trouble thinking, how do I make a song called Clowns vs. Mimes, the ultimate battle? That's not just the exact same thing as the war on mimes, you know?
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, what if it's like a rap battle? So the funny thing is, I thought that, and I thought, okay, what's some stuff that a mime would rap? And I was like, I'm a mime, watch me go. Like, that was the first thing I thought of. No, I was like, I'm a mime, watch me dance. Wicked clowns don't stand a chance. Like I was like, what if the mime was really bad at rapping? I got B Natural to do it, you know.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I'm stupid. Mimes don't talk. We talk about that in like every other song on the album. It's like every 1 minute of silence.
And it's so funny.
It's so funny. Like I can't
It's the funniest part of the whole album is this
Yeah.
minute of silence.
I think my verse in that song sucks, but it's okay because the verse literally just exists for the setup of the joke that is 1 minute of silence of a mime's verse. Like the first time when I first recorded my verse and like listened to it with the one, I just started laughing like midway through this minute of just plain instrumental. It's like, this is so funny. It's probably not gonna be funny to everyone. Maybe it's predictable.
Some people are gonna think like, I hope some people are gonna listen to this and think, wait, did they make a mistake?
They mess up.
And then they'll try to realize, oh, that's right, it's some mime rapping.
Also, I just want to say, Juggalos recorded some vocals for this too. He recorded like the announcer voice, and he did like some crowd reactions. And sorry that I didn't use those. I listened to them by their own. I was like, this is funny, but I just didn't like how they sounded in the final mix of the song. I decided not to keep them. But he like Juggalos and his wife Roxy Carroll, they recorded crowd reactions. It was so good. I should put those in the outtakes. And he recorded crowd reactions to the mime too. I preferred the just like more lo-fi, just nothing going on. I don't know, like I felt like adding too much to it would detract from it. I don't know. Yeah. Which sucks because I asked him to do it, you know. I feel bad for not using it because he did such a good job, but I just didn't end up liking how it sounded. Yeah. So shout out to Juggalos. He did a bunch of stuff on here. Oh, you want to know Slippy the Mime? That name It's the first name I thought of. That's where the name came from. I thought Floppy the Mime first, but I was like, that sounds like a clown name. I need something mimey.
Yeah, Slippy is definitely mimey.
Yeah. The line, some of the lines are taken from Rough Sects outtake songs. Which might get made eventually, as I said.
And I think it fits as your verse isn't that good because it's supposed to be freestyle.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't worried about this verse being good for multiple reasons. One of which was that it's in canon freestyle and that it's just literally just to set up a joke. And I think it's funny that this song goes after Minus's verse because like, oh yeah, representing the clown, the best clown rapper here. There's no better rapper who's a clown who hates mimes. He definitely wasn't in the previous song. The line "Why would anyone want to be a mime?" that was taken from B Natural's crappy verse that she wrote for If I Was Movie on Being a Mime.
Is that in the outtakes?
It is in the outtakes.
Okay. Because she was like, that's easy. Then she just like freestyled it. Or...
No, she didn't freestyle it.
She didn't freestyle that?
No, she like wrote that. She probably wrote it just off the top of the head, just quickly write something, like stream of consciousness. They didn't rhyme anything.
It didn't rhyme?
No. Some parts maybe. I like that we mentioned Mime Land, and I like that Eric mentioned like Mime Town, and then like Mimeville as a place. Like I think they have all these different mime locations.
Yeah.
There
was Pantomamistan was from Violent the Country Singers.
Yeah. I forgot to mention like the one guy, Violent J the Country Singer, who he has a podcast called 17 Ways with a Z, and he wrote Dark Loafus, Gimme Dat Bread, which is a parody.
Which is awesome.
Which is way funnier than Sniffing Dat Butt or whatever. Maybe it's not way funnier. I think it's more clever.
Dark Loafus is really good.
Yeah.
I was honored to have him on the album.
Yeah, that's why I wanted him on the album, because I was like, Dark Loafus is so funny. And he didn't have time, and when Eric did the verse, I still didn't get the verse from him. And I was like, I don't know if this guy's gonna give me the verse in time. I don't know how I'm gonna mix these two verses together. I was like, listen, man, like if you don't have time, like I can just use Eric's full verse. I'm probably just gonna, even if you do something, I might still use Eric's full verse. Because I couldn't figure out a way to mix the two, you know. And I didn't really want to cut Eric's verse part of it. But he wrote like a full 12 lines for the one Mime.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah. I hope he records them eventually, so I can like do like a remix of the song or something, or like include that in outtakes or something. My lines, anyway, back to Ultimate Battle. I'm a magician, a wicked evil duo, make a penis fall off and land in the sewers. That's a stupid line.
It is.
And I remember I showed B Nashville the song, and she was like, okay, the song is fine, but then you start talking about like penises for some reason. Why is that in the song? You're like, I don't know, man. It's a freestyle. I'm just in the mime. Talking about penis are gonna fall off. But you know, whatever.
And that's a reference to Simple Flips.
Yeah.
Where he'll say, oh, my dick flew off, landed in the sewers. Where'd it go? And it's really funny when he does it. You have to watch him.
And there's a skit at the end of this.
Originally did want to use all of this because they were just stealing a whole skit from something.
Yeah. Well, I don't steal the whole skit. But yeah, it's all sampled, the mime news at the end. And I was gonna have like eight different samples of like switching through TV channels, and it was like a minute long, which is to make up for the minute of silence at the end. You know, just let's tack this on the end of this song, and you're like, that's like too long. And I listened to it, I was like, yeah, I don't think I need all that. And then I put all the samples I didn't use except one I put in the outtakes between tracks, and there's some other bonus stuff in there too. Next, all Juggalos should attack any mimes they see.
I think my verse is weak on this one too.
You do?
Yeah.
Your verse is, you should say, I guess. This was the second song I wrote. The very first thing I did after writing my verse for If There Was a Movie on Being a Mime, I wrote the chorus of this. And when I did that, I was like, okay, maybe we could actually do this full album. I still didn't think we were actually going to get the whole thing done, though.
Yeah, because we originally had the April Fool's Day release date.
Yeah, no, originally I was like, okay, maybe we could try to get this done by like Halloween. And then I was like, okay, let's go with April 1st, because I don't think we can do it by Halloween. And if we want to do a full album, I within a week I was like, okay, April 1st is when we're going to have it done, out. Intro sample, I like the chorus. I thought it was really funny to take the love-making song and turn it into, hey, Juggalos, why don't you come beat up some mimes with me?
Nothing more romantic.
Yeah. Listen to the sampler if you haven't, but those are funny skits. So I wrote my verses, I sent it to you, you wrote your verses.
This is what I thought was the funniest title. All Juggalos should attack every mime they see.
Yeah. Oh, and I've referenced a bunch of like more contemporary ICP songs, like I referenced Gang Related, and like a lot of my verse I think is kind of satire of gatekeeping within Juggalos. And it's very non 1995 ICP. They don't really like, they don't talk about but because they don't talk about Juggalos in 1995, you know.
No,
They didn't come until like Malenko. They started doing that a bunch. So I kind of had to make it not riddle boxy, just because of the title, and of course I referenced what is a Juggalo and stuff. I mean, you don't talk about Juggalos in your verse at all, really. Like yours is
no, mine's just I see a mime, I attack it.
But I like that yours is like very romance themed because it fits the original song, and I thought that was a funny comparison. And I like that you included the line, "If you can see the mime, then it can't be far." Because I was trying to think of how can I like say like, oh, if you no matter what, if you can visually like literally see the mime, you have to attack it. Like I don't care how far it is. If you can see it, attack all mimes you see. That is literal. You have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have much to say about this song.
No, I don't. Originally, I was like, this is like the second best song on the album because it's the second one I wrote.
Yeah, this is the first song we had. The second song we had totally finished.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, like the first two songs I think are still the first ones we wrote. I think are still my favorite on the album.
This one in my movie.
Yeah. This one less now. It definitely was at first. I like the sample. Like one of the first things I did was get that sample. Hey, next time you see a mime, tell him I got some funny physical comedy for you.
Oh, I thought that was from the I Hate Mimes try.
No, that's a different video.
Oh.
Although the outro, what is it? You guys are beating up mimes, right? Oh, I love you guys. That is the same video as the beginning of Beat Down Those Mimes, which is from a video called Clowns vs. Mimes Smackdown. I sampled that a few times because it's so fitting for
Did you end up using the SNL script?
No, but it's in the outtakes and it's in the Chicken Huntin' original mix.
Oh yeah, okay. Which is good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The whole reason we did a sampler, by the way, is because I made I downloaded an instrumental of the original Chicken Huntin' and put it to a song that we recorded, and I was like, I should put this on something. What if we did the whole Chicken Huntin' sampler, but with our songs? And I remember I told you like, oh, could you record like something to like I Didn't Mean to Kill Them, which was on the original sampler, but then you just did your your song.
Do you have Go Crazy on the outtakes?
So crazy.
Oh, hear the lyrics, Go Crazy. Project.
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, good.
We'll talk about that after
We
the end of
love
this.
that.
But yeah, that sampler, that was like you wrote that previously. Like the whole I Hope You're Not Mime. That was not written about mimes originally. Like the chorus was just added afterwards to connect to the album. You wrote that like years ago.
I wrote that in high school. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a poem about a sexy piano tuner who has to tune this distressing piano at his old man's house.
Yeah, and you changed some of the words. Remotely is the same. And you added the
I changed his
chorus.
name.
Yeah. Chuck was not a reference to the ICP Weekly podcast host, by the way. It was a coincidence, because Stuart is not listening to that podcast.
No, I don't know who Chuck is. And I doubt that Chuck is 450 pounds and has slime all over his piano.
Chuck is a computer. I was going to say something else. Oh, I think one of the first things... I think before you wrote your verse, I came up with responding to the moaning samples. I was like, wait, what is that moaning in the background? And then I took the I Hate Mimes sample. Oh, I did the scratching for that, by the way, with a virtual DJ, which is like an app I downloaded.
Yeah, because and that was under my suggestion because you had you did kind of scratching. We just would reversed it and reverse fast forwarded it, and I said this doesn't sound good. Do actual scratching, and you said that's really hard, and I said well learn it anyway. You have 4 months. Yeah, and I did not learn it. I just kind of messed around with it, and then I copied and pasted. I recorded me trying to do the scratching, and it sucked. I should put a full scratching thing on the outtakes to see what it actually sounds like. And then I just copied and pasted sections of it and put it between the actual samples, and it sounds fine. You can't really tell too much, I don't think. It's just not real scratching at all. By the way, the title track, there's a small scratching sound before and after the Stupid Mime in an Invisible Box. You're saying all the stuff that no one should notice.
That is sampled from me scratching part of the Beatles song Get Back, which I was originally going to put in Mimeville, but I didn't. That's a fun fact. So technically the title track samples the Beatles. It's just like a boop, boop, like a scratching noise that you would never tell it's the Beatles. You probably can't even hear that.
I can't admit that until like 8 years later or whatever.
Oh yeah, ICP admitted that like 20 years later that they sampled. Because if you don't know, they sampled scratching from Don't Let Me Down.
Yeah.
Despite being told not to. Yeah, anyway, next song, best song. If there was a movie on being mime, then everyone would hate it.
Your verse is really solid.
Yeah.
They have a whole story. This is like the biggest story song.
And this was the very first thing I wrote for the album. I wrote this verse.
Yeah.
And I love this verse. I think, if you don't know so the plot is, I go out to the movie theater and I see a movie called Bip the Clown, and I'm like, oh, I would love to watch a movie about a guy named Bip the Clown. Maybe he'll beat up some mimes. That'd be great. And he gets to the theater, and then in big giant letters, Bip the Clown, a movie about the life of a mime named Bip the Clown. Because if you don't know, Marcel Marceau, the world's most famous mime, his stage name is Bip the Clown. And then I'm like trapped in the theater with all these mimes or whatever.
Yeah, all these mimes watching the movie.
Yeah,
a full theater of mimes.
Yeah, the audience. I like that. Oh, and I wanted one of the last lines I wrote during that was that I wanted to include like karma. Like there's a reason that like he's being punished because he steals the movie ticket at the beginning.
Wow.
I was like, oh, what, I had paid nothing. I plucked it when the man looked away. Like, so I was like, okay, I wanted to do that because like, I want there to be a reason that he's trapped here, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's like karma from stealing.
Well, then karma comes back with 12 mimes into the next song.
Yeah, exactly. And I sample "Hyper Fun" by Kevin MacLeod. I have to put that in the. Oh, I need to put that in the credits because I think legally I'm supposed to. I'm not, but whatever. The chorus is. I like that I say. I was like, how do I include the words "evil eye" in the chorus? I say, even if it makes you think that I'm evil, I just gotta say it.
Which I didn't pick up on that at first.
It is a very confusingly worded chorus that sounds stupid, but I think it's funny that I was like, oh yeah, I gotta include the word "evil eye" in there because the original song is "Old Evil Eye," and the reason that the interludes are Shmeev saying the words from the original Amazon review that inspired the album. And that was because it was the first time I wrote. Originally, this was going to be the only song we did. Like, I didn't think we would do the full album. So I was like, oh, for the interludes, we'll just stick the review there, you know? Yeah. Just have the one song. And then I think it fits thematically with the song because it's about media related to mimes, as is the intro and outro samples.
Yeah.
The sample of the intro is from a YouTube video. Your verse is great too, I think. Less storytelling, but... Oh, I want to say plucked. I used the word plucked because in Valenche's audiobook of his book, Behind the Paint, he's like, oh, the word plucked is really funny. It means you stole something. You plucked it. He talks for like a minute about how funny the word plucked is to mean stolen. And I thought it'd be fun to include that word. That's why I have to say plucked specifically. Anything to say about your verse?
What? How does my verse even go?
I think you like movies? These are the worst ones. Just
then he goes to school.
I love the school part.
Yeah, you really like the school part, where I remember I was in school and the teacher brings out like one of those big like rolling TVs and she puts it in a movie and it's how to become a mime.
Become a mime in 30 days or less.
And everyone hates it.
And then you used my last 4 lines, we changed it. Okay, something came up. We'll continue this later over the internet, probably.
Well, okay, just quick stuff about anything else. What are the last songs?
There's like 4 more songs left.
Well, what are they?
I guess a lot of it's stuff that I wrote anyway, so maybe I'll talk about it myself.
Yeah.
There's 12 Mimes.
Which is your horror covers, which originally we weren't sure about including this in the album because it was so much darker than the rest of it.
Yeah. I'll talk about that later. Attack of the Mimes, which is also all me. You know,
shout out to Permanent Marker.
Yeah, I'll talk about that later. All Mimes should go back to Mimeville. You wrote the first verse only, and it's genius. It's probably my second favorite verse on the album. Is your Mimeville verse.
What's your favorite?
Probably like my Mime movie verse.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
It's worn on me a bit, that verse, honestly.
You don't like it as much?
Not as much as I used to, no.
And then I wrote the third verse. I wrote like 3 different half verses for the third verse, and I don't know if the ones we picked were great, but I'm fine with it. And then there's a bunch of outtakes. We can talk about that later. Anyway, I'll probably do the rest of this commentary solo because a lot of it you gotta go, and all the outtakes are me. Anyway, okay, bye. Hello, I'm back. This is Mustard. Stuart had to leave, so I'm gonna do the rest of this. Most of these songs are just me anyway, so I wanted to say, for if there was a movie I'm being in mime, everyone would hate it. Juggalos, which is Jiggglz, he did the guitar on it, and it's awesome, because, I guess I'll talk about some of the instrumentals now, because it's related. Yeah, for a bunch of the songs on this album, originally they weren't like instrumental, so like the chicken hunting instrumental, like that's an official thing, but I had to remove the background vocals, and that took like a couple hours. Because I wanted to like recreate it as faithfully as possible by like copying sections, looping it, trying to isolate the vocals, mostly just copying and pasting sections of the beat. And okay, this part's just drums. I sampled this drum here. The whole entirety of the "I'm Coming Home" instrumental, I like did that entire thing by copying and pasting different sections of it using some samples and stuff. And yeah, and that's something I did for if there's being a movie in mime, everyone would hate it. Cause I didn't want the singing in the hook, which is on the official instrumental. So I had to like get rid of that, and then but because of that, it took out a bunch of the guitar too. So I asked Jiggle said like, oh hey, when I told him I was working on the album, he said, oh by the way, if you need like guitar work, any background vocals, anything, I got you. So a little bit later I said, do you think you could replay the guitar in the chorus of Old Evil Eye? And he said, yeah, give me some time to do that. And he sent it back, and what he did was, it was so incredible, to me at least, because I can't play any instruments. I just like edit stuff. And he did like the entire song. What he sent me was like a full like playthrough of like the entire. He did like a bunch of stuff for the verses too. He did like the chorus. He did like a cool like solo for the outro. And I didn't use any of the verses stuff because I wanted it to be as close to the original beat as I could, because it was a replacement for the guitar I had to take out of the chorus. And I edited what he did a bunch. I like looped parts of it and matched it with where the stuff was in the original. But then for the outro, I like used he played like the do 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 do. That was awful. With my singing, I mean. But he played that on guitar, and I was like, dude, that sounds so cool. And I used that just for the outro, and it's just he did so great. And especially once I looped everything and lined it up well, very talented musician and cool guy. Shout out to Juggalos. Also shout out to Pig, Emery, I forget his first name. Emery, I think? Oh jeez. Well, Pig with 2 G's. I'm sorry if I forget your first name, but he just goes by Pig usually anyway. Shout out to Pig. He was gonna do a verse for the War on Mimes also, but he did not have the time to get it in time. But yeah, we'll work on more stuff in the future. He is I want to explain Rough Sects now too. Rough Sects, the people in the ICP with We Discord server who are like all my friends who are Juggalos, they 2 of the people bought a bunch of beats from Chris Calico's producer, and it's like featuring him. And we're gonna like do like a joke rap project, a bunch of people, most of us who never rapped before. So we're gonna do like a full rap album, like, similar to like Golden Goalies or Psychopathic Writers. And everyone is too busy. I was the only person who actually wrote I recorded like 4 verses for that. And Pig did one too. And he's on a song that I'm on. Hopefully I release this sometime eventually, but everyone's too busy right now. No shade, by the way. Like this is, I completely understand that people are too busy to do silly little projects. So some of the stuff is recycled from verses I wrote for that project. So the next song is 12 Mimes. Every single line in this song, in the verses, except for the last 8 lines, were written for completely unrelated to mimes. It was written for different stuff for the Rough Sex project, and just just me like, okay, let me just say I'm not a rapper. I don't want to be a rapper. I don't have the voice for it. But writing rhymes is fun, and trying to emulate stuff that like ICP and stuff does. It's fun, and I wrote all these verses, and it's combinations. This whole song was combinations of a bunch of different verses that I wrote for like different songs. Some of which I never ended up even recording for Rough Sex. So this was not planned to be on the album. How 12 Mimes started was, we were like, okay, let's do outtakes, and for Beat Down Those Mimes, I was originally gonna reuse my verse, which I use here. I'm a sick cat and I'll chase a mime with an axe, but I ended up only using the first line. But actually, that was a whole verse, which was used here in 12 Mimes. So I had that verse. Okay, how about I just, for the outtakes, I'll just record that whole verse, change a couple of words to be about mimes, and stick it in the outtakes track. But I already had a full ghostwritten verse for Beat Down Those Mimes outtakes. So I was like, well, I'll just rap it to the 12 beat, because that's out there, it kind of fits, I'll just do it double time, and yeah. And then I thought, what if I just write like a full, like I'll take some of the other stuff I didn't use and I'll just stick it in there. It was never intended for the album, but we could stick it on the outtakes track. By the way, Bam Bam, Veins in the Wall, Eyeballs Fall Out the Skull, Roll Out in the Hole, another mime walks up and slips on the guts. That is taken from a Golden Goldies song, Mikey Clark's verse. But yeah, so and then I was just like, screw it, let's do a full song, let's kill 12 Mimes. And even when I finished the song, I thought, this isn't going to go on the album. And part of that was because it was just too horrorcore, too violent. It didn't really fit the tone too well. But I sent it to Batter and Juggalos as soon as I made it, and they both loved it. They said, this is... I mean, to be fair, it was the first song from the album they heard, so maybe they'll hear it on the album and go like, why is this on the album? This doesn't fit at all. But they liked it a lot, and I was iffy about it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep it off the album. I liked how it turned out, and Stu and I were both conflicted on whether or not to put this on the album, but I think we made the right choice. And yeah, so all of this, the first 8 lines are from one verse that I wrote for something. I don't think I had a beat for that. I think I was just writing stuff. Then the next 12 lines, the first one, or 16 lines, was from something. The 4 lines that are Golden Goldies, Bam to But, that was added. But it was going to be used for something. I don't know. It was all... This is just a Frankenstein of a bunch of stuff. And I just like it was originally, I have nightly thoughts of homicide. I'm sick of trying to fight this. Hop inside your house. I forget what it was. But it was not about mimes. It was just like people. For the record, I'm not a violent or angry person. I'm just writing rhymes. I have no desire to actually kill anyone or anything. Especially not mimes. Mimes are cool. Let's see. The second verse... the first 4 lines were something, and then the next 8 lines were... the doctor... The part about doctor sitting in the show with the neck broken, there was... I wrote a song that started out as someone in Discord said, let's make a song about the dentist called... I think it was Drills and Fluids or something. So that's how that verse started, and I wrote a full song, which maybe I should record that and put it out just for the sake of the backstory. But and it was about going to the dentist, and it's like a lot of the same lines, but it wasn't violent. It was all like hype. Like the thing was like the first verse was like, oh yeah, I could there's tools on the table I could use to cut your face open. And the staff could check in on the commotion and find you. It was all hypothetical, and the next line was like, but I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not a monster. I'll just feed you Oreos so your appointment takes longer. Because it was a dentist originally, not a doctor. And then there was like a thing about Teeth Man, which was like some inside joke. A guy who's made of teeth. It was just really stupid. And I put it into the song. Without all the stupid stuff, really. The next 4 lines was something... And then the last 8 lines were just original. And I trapped a mime in an invisible box with a bomb as a reference to a YouTube video, Mime News, and kind of connects to the theme of the album, I guess. In the last 2 lines, I joked awake, I imagined all that in my sleep. I wanted to include that because, as I said, I wanted the actual death toll on the album to be very low, of mimes I mean, because I like the idea that we suck at what we're doing, we don't actually kill mimes. And just kind of to ease the violence of the song, I guess. And then I think it leads well into the next song. And, okay, part of the reason I wanted the song on the album is because I think the outro of 12 Mimes, where I sample the Violent J saying time, time, time in the original 12, and I edited that to make him saying mime instead. I thought that was really funny. So that joke is, I think, what kind of pushed me over the edge of putting on the album. I think the chorus is funny too. If you're mime, you're gonna die. And I reversed the word tonight in the intro where Jay says 12 people die tonight because it's a week, but also it is technically in the night because it's whole song is a dream. Anyway, Attack of the Mimes. This was, I think, like the 5th or 6th song I wrote. I don't know. But I found the intro. The intro is a sample from a live performance of the song Clowns by Too Much Joy. And I found that and I thought that fits really well. I'm going to stick that in the Killing Fields beat. And I think this was before I knew what the song was going to be. I listened to Mental Warp and The Dream and Killing Fields. I think one other song maybe. But anyway, in those songs, I was trying to write something similar to those. Especially, like, it was very inspired by Mental Warp specifically, I think, even though it's and originally, I recorded this whole verse of Attack of the Mimes. My whole first verse, I have a version where I recorded it to the tune of Mental Warp. Then I noticed tapping, it might be in my mind. I follow the sound as the mimes outside, clawing at the open windows, hoping to get in. Painted on the faces is the shame of all my sin. I have a recording where I'm singing the whole verse to the tune of Mental Warp. I didn't end up using that. I like this song, I'm pretty happy with it. This was the most difficult song to write because I wanted a consistent tone that was kind of scary and didn't get too ridiculous despite it being about mimes. I think I did okay. There's some stupid lines, but I like it's like I tried to write it like in a somewhat poetic way too. It is difficult, man. This song took a long time to write, relative to the other ones. The ceiling feels low, though looks like it's not. The implication there was that like there's an invisible ceiling above me that a mime created. The line, a mime behind my couch is walking down a flight of steps that isn't in my house. You know, like mimes do that thing where they like pretend to walk down the stairs behind the couch. I really like the line, the mimes outside clawing at the open windows hoping to get in because they're like pressing their hands against nothing. I think that's funny. They don't speak with the eyes beg please. That's taken directly from The Dream by ICP. That line's like stolen, but whatever. And I saw this song as kind of the cosmic punishment for 12 mimes. So I thought it fit well before that song because it's like, oh yeah, after you kill all these mimes, you go to hell, which hell is mimes, you know. That's the worst thing you could do happen. So I was really happy with that sample. The original sample is about clowns, by the way, but he says, I hate mimes at the end of the verse and then goes into the monologue. So it sounds like it's connected. Because I didn't actually make any cuts there. Except at the end I say mimes. Then, verse 2, Permanent Marker did an incredible job. He is I forget what country he's from, Austria. He's from Austria, and he raps. He has a bunch of YouTube videos where he raps over ICP beats in German, and it sounds really cool in my opinion. And I've sent it to the Discord before, and I think Juggalos was like, dude, this sounds so cool, to his other songs. So I was like, dude, I want to get Permanent Marker on this album. That'd be awesome. And even though you can't tell what he's saying, I mean, I would assume most people who are hearing this can't tell what he's saying, don't speak German. If you do, maybe it sucks. Maybe in German this is an awful rap verse, and it's like stupid. But I like Google translated it, and I think it's like he stays on topic too. Like one of the lines is like it's very much the same story of my verse, or the same theme with his mimes all over the house. One of the lines is like, oh, there's mimes doing my chores, but they don't get anything done. They're just doing gestures. Like, that's funny to me. And yeah, but what happened with that is I messaged him on Instagram like, hey, would you want to do a song about mimes? And I gave him two. I said, oh yeah, there's a comedy song called The War on Mimes, where it's clowns versus mimes, and then there's like a horror scary song where it's like a kind of like a zombie apocalypse but with mimes, and I sent him my verse. And he said, I think I like the horror idea. And this was like his native language is German, so it was but he seems to speak English all right. I speak no German, but it was fun, like the communication between language. It was a fun experience talking to him, and he was very polite. And I told him the idea. He said, "Yeah, that seems fun. I might do that. I might send that give me like a couple of weeks." Within 24 hours, he wrote and recorded a verse and sent it to me in less than 24 hours, and I was just so happy with it. I think it sounds cool. Go to like DeepL Translate or Google Translate if you want to know what he's actually saying. What he's actually saying in English, but I like how it sounds. I think it's fitting, and I was not able to write a second. I started trying to write a second verse for this. I couldn't do it. Couldn't think of anything either. And I'm really happy I have him on the album. That's really cool. The samples and the interludes I like a lot. The first one's from like some kind of creepy story about mimes, and the second one is a video called, I forget what it's called, like History of Mime or something. I forget what it's called, but it's some video. Again, like with the intro, it's like a completely comedic video that is not meant to be scary or intimidating in any way. But I sampled just certain sentences from it. I know we've all been warned about mimes from a young age, from our parents or pastor, about the danger they pose, about the powers they possess. At any given moment, there could be a mime behind you. Due to the complete otherworldly silence, the ability to fit into small spaces like closets under the bed, it's impossible to know if there's a mime in your house. And originally there was a different sample here, but I heard that. I was like, this fits the song so perfectly. And it's like multiple different cut sentences from this video. Because he says like a bunch of silly nonsense in between these. Like, it's not a scary video, but like these lines like out of context would, to me, just like really fit the tone of the song. And I like that he mentions the pastor, because the original song is the interludes, it's samples from a pastor speaking instead. The bridge is a bunch of samples. Outro. The outro samples it's a Channel Awesome video called, I forget what it's called. Look up like Nostalgia Critic Mimes or something. It's no, mimes, not memes. My freaking website, or my Google Docs where I wrote all the lyrics, it kept underlining mimes. It told me to write memes. It was really annoying. Disgruntled Mimes was the video that outro sampled from, which is a stupid comedy video. But that's probably one of my favorite songs on the album, just because I'm happy with my verse turned out. I think the samples are cool, and the same thing with the previous song. I like both of our verses on not 12 Mimes, on If There Was a Movie on Being a Mime, Everyone Would Hate It. And I like the collaboration. There's a bunch of different people doing stuff on it together. It's great. And I remember when I first added that second sample, the second interlude of Attack of the Mimes, I was worried that people would think I heard that and copied it for my verse, because it was just so similar. So next, all mimes should go back to Mimeville. I wrote the second verse that I say. Stu wrote the first verse, and then I wrote all of verse 3. Which is two sections. I like Stur's verse on this a lot. I think it's a funny little story about visiting Mimeville. And originally it was gonna be the second verse, but I listened to my verse and his verse. I was like, yours makes way more sense for the first verse, like as an introduction to Mimeville. And then mine kind of goes into detail about Mimeville. And we had trouble writing this song because we wanted it to be positive, like we wanted not what you would expect from a song titled All Mimes Should Go Back to Mimeville. We wanted Mimeville to seem like a nice place, but we were like stubborn about it. This was one of the last songs we wrote. We had trouble. I think verse 3 was written, like between when we wrote the first two verses and when we wrote verse 3, we wrote like a bunch of other stuff because we had trouble coming up with verse 3. And then I wrote it one day in my notebook. I wrote like 3 different little half verses, and I picked out one of them and then a bunch of stuff from the other two, and yeah. The outro. Oh, here's the thing. Originally, I was gonna use a sample. There's a video called "I Hate Mimes," and it's the guy playing a guitar and singing a song that he wrote called "I Hate Mimes." And I messaged the guy and said, "Hey, can I use this for my album? I'm making a parody album about mimes." And he said, "Absolutely not. Thanks for asking, though." And I was like, "Oh man!" But then I found this other song called "Kill the Mime" by J.D. Tucker, and it just fits. I really liked how it sounded at the end of it. At the very end of the album. Not really related thematically to the song. It kind of reminded me of the song at the end of, I think it's Red Christmas or the other Christmas song. There's some like, they sampled some, ICP sampled some like country Christmas song at the end of one of the Christmas songs, and yeah, Stir really liked it too, and yeah. I emailed the guy who made that song, J.D. Tucker, also, if I could use the song, and he hasn't responded yet, so and no, I didn't ask anyone else for permission for any of the samples. So please don't sue me. It's just for funny lols. It's parody song, parody album. The first idea I had for the verses of the song was I had there's just Too Many Mimes, which is a sample from a song, and I was like, okay, what if that sample, Too Many Mimes, is like at the beginning of every line. So it's like a kind of like a bizarre song. It's like, too many mimes in the city, blah, blah, blah. Too many mimes up and down every block. I couldn't think of a single line for that, though. And then I just wrote my verse. I think my last verse is kind of a bit too negative. I realized afterward. Not even negative for Mimeville, negative for, like, the city I live in canon. And I don't know how I feel about that now, but... It's a nice, like, kind of character development of the album. I don't know. And then outtakes, Poop Box. Let me explain Poop Box. A few years ago, way before we had the idea for Mime Box, we had the idea for Poop Box, which was we get instrumentals for every Riddle Box song, and we just rap the songs, but we replace, like, every noun with the word poop. And it was the stupidest idea ever, and I'm glad we didn't do it. And so Mime Box is kind of Poop Box too, I think. It's like the evolution of that really, really stupid idea. And that Poop Box is actually the reason that I remade the I'm Coming Home beat, like, from scratch, which I use on this album. Like, so like I put that on YouTube, I use like mashups for it. I made that because of Poop Box. I had the album cover, and it was just... I made the album cover, and it was just the Riddle Box cover, but I erased the question mark, and in like just a totally like not fitting font, I wrote the word poop in like the same green, with no outline or anything. It's so stupid. It was, you know, it's meant to be stupid. Stir and I both like just taking jokes way too far that no one would ever do and just doing it. Like my YouTube channel description is this is a collection of things that I wanted to exist. And I just, you know, and Mime Box is definitely one of those. Like, I want this to exist. Even if someone else could do it better, no one else is going to do it. So I'm going to do it, you know? And that's kind of my whole thought process in making things a lot of the time. Is even if I can't do it the best, I'm going to do it. No one else is going to do this stupid idea. And it's fun. This whole project was super fulfilling, I think. Okay, and then Mime Christmas. Because I need to explain this. As I said, I recorded all the vocals in the car on Christmas at like... I say it's 1:10 a.m. It was actually 10... It was actually... No, I say... In the song, I say it's 10:10 a.m. on Christmas. It was actually 1:10 a.m. That was just a misspeak. So what happened is... At the very end of my recording session, I had been in the car for like 2 hours probably, and it was freezing cold that night. It was so cold in the car. I didn't have the heat running because I didn't want to make noise. And I was recording the Mimeville vocals. At the very end of the recording session, I was like, oh, I'm shivering now. It's Christmas, Merry Christmas. I started saying that just randomly. And I kind of started quoting. There's a TikTok where someone goes like, "Guys, it's Can you believe Christmas is 1 week? Christmas, guys, it's Christmas. Can you believe it?" And I was kind of referencing that, and then I had listened to ICP's Christmas album earlier that week, and I just started going. I started freestyling. It's to the beat of "I'm Coming Home." It's Christmas, time for a slaughter. Maybe your wife, maybe your daughter, but so I say just kidding. It's a mime, and then I just do an awful offbeat freestyle. Like as I said, it was to a different beat. I put it to the Red Christmas beat here because that's the song I was parodying. But it was to a different beat, but it didn't matter because I wasn't even on beat at all, so it didn't matter if it was in the same BPM or anything. And what a stupid freestyle! Like I'm like, first of all, I say mouse and then I just change it to a rat later. And just nonsense garbage. I was super tired and super cold, and that's why that happened. And then I, put it on my computer. I was like, this kind of fits to this beat. I put it to this beat. Sent it to Stir. He sent back him singing "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas without a bunch of mimes to bother me, because when you have a white Christmas, there's no mimes because they all suck." I assume he did that also freestyled. And I put it together, and I thought it was a nice outro because that was the last thing I recorded, other than some stuff we did afterwards, like the intro, the title track and stuff. That was the last thing I recorded at like 1 a.m. and it ends with, "It's freezing cold. Good night, everyone." And I'm like, I was so cold. And then I stopped recording. Also, I wanted to say, my take of Attack of the Mimes, my throat really hurt because I had recorded a few takes and I was kind of sick and had a sore throat. And so the take that I used, I just powered through it, and I was like on the verge of tears because my throat hurt, and I thought it sounded cool as like I sounded scared and like sad and defeated, and that's because my throat hurt and I was like almost crying, and it's my voice was like really strained, and that's the main take I used for that song. And also, the Mime movie song, if there's a movie I'm being a mime, if everyone hate it, the main take I used for the vocals on that is like the original demo vocals, because I did not like how any of my other takes sounded. So yeah. Stir's verse on that originally said, "When a mime's on my TV, all I do is pray," instead of "When a mime's on my TV, I'm not okay." And he changed that because he just thought it was more clear. I liked the line, "If when a mime's on my TV, all I do is pray," but it was just he didn't like it. Was kind of weird, and I like the change now too, because also then we added "I Promise," which is just a reference to "I'm Not Okay, I Promise" by My Chemical Romance. I thought that was funny. The "I Promise" is sampled from Long Mom Potion Castle. Sorry, this is so like disoriented now. I'm really bad with monologues and my notes aren't super organized. But yeah, that's Mime Box. Hope you liked it. The main goal was just something funny, you know. Like I'm not trying to be better than ICP or nearly as good as them even, but I wanted to do something funny and just nonsensical. I should say, by the way, unless it was taken down, I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but I plan on having on the Bandcamp page, if you download the album, it will come with a bonus track of outtakes and also maybe this, who knows, and also a PDF of a lyrics booklet and disc tray insert that you can print and cut out and make your own CD. And it looks, I printed one out myself and it looks really cool. I'm probably gonna post pictures somewhere. The whole lyrics booklet with all the lyrics and everything. Yeah, I love it, it's great. And in case you didn't notice, this was mostly changed just because I would be curious if people noticed. The Riddlebox guy does not have a crank on the cover of this. I just wanted to see if people would notice. And the explicit lyric says "Periodic Advisory Explicit Mime Hate." I think that's all I have to say. I don't know. 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 I have to say. I don't know.
have to say, I don't know.